Hello and welcome back to SketchUp Assist. In this video, we're going to take a look at styles, so stick around. Okay, let's start off under Window and let's open the Styles dialog. And now what the Styles dialog is going to do is it's going to manage things like how the edges of geometries look, how the faces of geometries look. You can manage the background. So for example, here we have sky in the background. We can turn that off. Watermarks and some things around models. So you have a lot of control here. This will manage a lot of the look and feel of your models. So let's start off first by creating a copy, because I want to keep this simple style. This is my default style, and we'll use it to compare and contrast as we look at some changes that we make. So let's start by creating a new style. Simply hit the plus icon here, and I'm going to call this my style, maybe my style 1 in case we want to create another one. And then I'm going to just say this is my custom style. Now you could obviously put a description in here that's useful if you're going to have a few of these, so that when you come back later you know what you intended. And then the thing we want to do is make sure we save this, and so hit the little double arrow icon here, and that will save that style. So now as we toggle between the two styles, you can see we go back to the simple style. And if I click back over here, I go over to my new style. Okay, so what do we want to look at first? Let's go into edit and just step our way through some of the options. Let's first come in here and create a geometry that we can use to see the impact of some of the changes that we're going to make. Okay, so you'll notice that as you click through these icons that you will see the description. And so on this view, all of these settings have to do with the edges of a geometry. And so for example, you can turn the edges off. And so if you see the small rectangular box that I've put here, we can turn the edges on and off. We can also turn on back edges so that you can actually see through the geometry. There are other ways to do that. We'll take a look when we get to the faces. You can also manage the profile. And in fact, if you want, you can come in and make some of these lines bolder. And so if we enter a number, hit enter, you will see how the profile around the outer edge of the view. And so notice it's not impacting these edges here. It's the profile along the back edge that we've changed. We're going to put that back to 2. You can turn on depth queuing, which effectively enhances the lines in the foreground. And so while the profiles were the sort of outline, so to speak, depth queue will turn on the front. And again, you can make these settings, and if you get to a new view, you can save that. So for example, if we wanted to leave on depth queuing, maybe we will make that a little lighter. Click out to save it, and we could come in here and save this in our style. And so if I come back over to select, and I toggle between my two styles, you'll see that I've saved these settings. And so let's go back over to our new style. Other things you could do, add extensions, and you'll notice is a little hard to see, but basically on the ends of the lines, there's a slight extension of those lines. You can turn on endpoints. We'll turn off extensions so you can see this a little better. So if we zoom in, you can see some of the endpoints here at the corners. And you can introduce jitter. And so you'll see there's some variation in the lines that's introduced. So in some cases you may want to do that. You can also adjust the colors of the edges. So for example, we could come in and pick a new color. Not quite as easy to see. Let's go with a contrasting color. So we could come in and make all of the edges a specific color or a custom color if you want, depending on what you want to do. And then the interesting thing is you can also set the color to coordinate with the axis. And this could be interesting and useful sometimes as you're zoomed in on a geometry, working on it, and you're trying to select a direction, for example, you may not be able to see the overall axis or axes, but you can see the direction of those edges as they'll be color coded to the axis color, so the direction of the axis that they're aligned with. Okay, so those are most of the edge things that you can do. We're going to turn this back. We'll leave it like this. We can go ahead and save this view. Okay, and let's move on to the next one. Let's look at the face now. So now with the faces, you can alter the color. So the faces are currently white. And if we come in and we reverse the face, you'll see that it's a grayish color. That's defined here. So let's move this back. Let's reverse that face back. And so the front of the face, we could come in and maybe, let's make it maybe orange. That's a little bold. Let's go a little lighter. Okay. And then we can also come in and we can adjust the back color. Now you won't notice anything in the back color right now, again, until we come in and we reverse the faces. And now you can see that back face is now colored as we've set it there. You can also preset some of the views here, or you can, as your style, you can set, for example, it's effectively transparent mode. So the faces are basically turned off here. You can also come in and leave, shut off the background. So if we look here, you can see the back, the hidden lines. If you come into this mode, the faces are removed, but you can't see the hidden geometry in there. We can go back to the regular setting. And then there is a monochrome setting here. And actually you can see this a little better. Since there's only one color, you don't really see that here. But if we zoom back over to our person hanging out here with us, you can see that as we go from the sort of normal color to the monochrome, that it will show just a single color there. And finally, we can go into X-ray mode. So you could set X-ray mode as a sort of permanent setting in your visuals here. And again, you can choose any of these you want, and you can save that setting. Now, I want to look at the material transparency, because this one takes a little more to sort of understand. I'm going to turn off X-ray mode here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to select a brick. And actually, I'm going to, okay. What I want to show you is how this works. Now, if you just turn this on and off, you won't really see a difference in any of the visuals. Okay, so we've added this brick material here. If we double click into the settings and we can select that side, we can adjust the transparency. And so as we adjust the opacity here, opacity, transparency, whatever you want to call it, you will see that it in fact becomes transparent. Now you can override this in your model by simply coming in and deselecting the material transparency. So this is like a global setting that will override all of the material transparencies in your geometries or in your model. And if you want to enable it, you can do so by coming in here. But it will basically impact any material that you've enabled some level of transparency on. Okay, as we move on, we can come over to the background. And again, here we have, we zoom out some, we have the ability to control some of these things. So for example, we have sky in the background here. If we wanted, we could turn it off. You could adjust the color of the sky. It's a gradient, but you could still come in and make changes to that, to the color that's in there. So you can see, you can make it slightly gray or purple, whatever you want there. Or you can turn it off completely, in which case the background will continue on. You can also adjust the actual background here. So let's say, say we go with something like this. So we've darkened it up a little bit. You can adjust the horizon, and so you could see basically the gradient color here. We basically selected the horizon gradient color, which smears into the upper color. So we can go back to something light there. And then you can also turn on ground and adjust the transparency. And so all of these things, again, background related, you can save those. Let's go ahead and save this setting. So now we've updated my style, and you'll notice that the icon also updates. So if we go back over to select and we switch back and forth, you can see that it's pretty easy to, do some experimental things if you want, or again, work till you get a style that you like, but you can always toggle back to sort of a standard style. Okay, so we're back in my style, and let's go back over, and there are a couple of other things to look at. Here is a space where you can upload a watermark. So I'm going to add a watermark. I'm going to go to my watermark, and it's going to load that. And it's going to walk me through a dialog. I could call up my SA. This is SketchUp Assist watermark. I want it to be in the background. Yeah, I'll blend it a little bit. I want to position it in the window. And I'm actually going to put it in the lower right corner. So you can see it here. And I can always go back. And I'll take it down some so it doesn't stand out so much. Go back forward. I like that position. And then finish. So now if I save this style, then that will contain my watermark. So every time I come in and open that style, it will contain my watermark. Finally, this is where we get into quite a few things that are kind of interesting. You can really kind of control the look and feel here. So let's go back up. I'm going to, actually, let me get rid of this, draw a new one here. Okay. So whenever you select a face, the default colors typically are blue. You can come in again. You can adjust all this. So we've just updated it. That was a little subtle. Let's try something that's a little more obvious. Maybe red. There we go. So you can see when we select that turns red. If you've locked something, you can set that color. Guides are by default black. So if we look at the guide here, we can come in. Again, we can adjust the color of the guides. Then we have section plane. And there's some interesting things over here. Let's introduce a section plane. And we'll put our section plane here. And that's fine. Okay, so you can control the colors of the section plane. So you'll notice if you're used to it, by default, it's orange. You can come in and you can change the color of the section plane, active state to blue. You can also, if we come in and toggle this off, so let's turn off the active cut, deselect it, you'll notice it's a gray color. You can come in, color that red. And so deselected, the inactive state is red. The active state turns blue. So of course, when we select it, it's red. So let's come in here and change this other color just to kind of highlight what's happening here. So the active section plane is covered blue. We've now updated any selection now. So whether we come here and select a face or we select the section plane, it's now a light gray color. And you can also control the look of the object or the geometries that are getting cut by the section. So for example, if we come in and let's make this maybe a blue color. Let's try this one more time. There we go. So the section fill, so that is the sort of face that's getting cut, so to speak. We can control that color, right? And then also the section lines can be controlled. And so let's make those red just so they kind of stand out. Keep in mind, these colors I'm selecting are not necessarily improvements. I'm just selecting kind of bright colors so you can more easily see the impact. So you can then customize a lot of this. You can also come down here, and what's kind of interesting is you can turn on and off section cuts. So in other words, by default, whatever is cut by the plane is generally not shown, but you can actually come in and have that displayed. And so, for example, if I have another geometry that's behind this plane, let's just do it here. And actually, I'm going to make this one a group for something we'll look at next. So let's make this a group. Okay, so behind my section plane, right, it would remove everything. So it would remove not only the object that the section plane is actually cutting through, but anything behind the plane. But you can come in and turn those things on if you want. You can also remove the section fill. And so if you have a section plane and you want to see through the face that is being impacted by the section plane, you can turn that on. You can also hide the section plane itself, although that could be a little confusing. Here you can also turn off the axes. So if you don't want the axis to show up when you come into this style, then you can remove that and save that update. I'm going to turn this back on because they're kind of handy generally. And then we've deleted our guides, but you can actually turn the guides off. So if you wanted to, you could have it so that guides wouldn't show here. Probably not super valuable, but you could do so. I'm going to come in and deactivate this cut because I also want to talk about two other things here, the hidden geometries and the hidden objects. And so if we come in, and so you'll notice this is inactive now, which is our new color. If I come in and hide this geometry, now normally you can go up to view and turn on your hidden geometry, but you can have that as a default setting in here, which is a hidden object because we made it a group. You can have this as a default setting that whenever you hide objects, the hidden geometry for that object will show, the hidden object. And let's get rid of this. You can also select hidden geometry. And so if we come in and we hide some geometry and we turn on hidden geometry, that would show up as well. So again, you can save this as a standard setting so that whenever you hide any geometry or hide any objects, those show up automatically. So again, the main thing to keep in mind is as you make these changes, you have to remember to save those changes. You can always create another copy of a style. So and SketchUp will kind of automatically name it, but you may come in and choose a different name. And then the last thing we'll look at is the mixing. And so what you can do is if you have certain settings within a style that you want to copy into another style, you can do that. And what I'm going to do here is a simple example is show the watermark. So what I want to do is I want to come over here and select my original. And so you'll notice I have no watermark here. And then I want to come into the mix. And I'm going to grab either one of these because they're a copy. And I'm going to come up and hover over. So you'll notice as you move, it's kind of hard to see, but as you hover over one of these different topics, you can copy the settings for that topic from that style that you're dragging into the current style. And so you can see that's what we did here. We just copied the watermark setting here. Obviously, we could copy other things in. If I came in and dropped this, you'll see that now this hidden geometry is showing up by default. So that's it. Lots of interesting things you could do to control the look and feel of SketchUp. So depending on what you're doing, you may have a few different styles that you want to create, different colors and so on. So that's all. Hopefully you found it useful, and good luck. Hey, if you're finding the channel useful or interesting, please consider subscribing. And if you have any feedback for any of our content, please consider leaving comments. Thank you.